Hey folks, welcome to this video. You know how I've preached that the gear, the equipment, the camera, whatever you're using doesn't really matter? Well, sometimes it kind of does. I know I'm being dramatic. I didn't have to burn my camera to make a point, but I did anyways. Full disclosure, I'm shooting this on a Sony camera right now. I love this camera. I'm gonna keep it. With that being said, I try to be brand agnostic. I just want the tool that works the best for me. I feel like as soon as you start to worry about the brand, you're putting yourself in a really bad position as a consumer. For context for this video, when I'm talking about a camera, I'm talking about stills. I started as a stills photographer in 2011. I left a full-time job, which a lot of people thought was super crazy, but I had been working on it for years. I had an agent lined up. I was and I am still represented for commercial photography work, and I turned it into a sustainable career. At the time, I was shooting on my Canon 5D Mark II, which was a really great camera for the time that just had a little switch that let you shoot video through your nice photography lenses. And even though I'm talking about photography, that little switch over to video is what started my road to being a commercial director. So that 5D Mark II was a beautiful camera. It was great. It was a little bit noisy. So I thought I was pretty cool and bought a Sony A7R, and I really liked it. I shot work that went on billboards on it. It's a great camera and it still is. I upgraded to the A7R II, but it had in-sensor stabilization that gave you so much more flexibility when you're shooting a little more freestyle, and 42 megapixels. So technically these cameras hit the mark. They had all of the tech specs, but after years of shooting with these cameras, a feeling started to slowly sink in. I wasn't happy with the pictures. In my mind, I thought technically there should be no difference between cameras. They're just sensors and data. You should be able to do what you want with them to get them where you need them, but I never could. And although the pictures were good, I never had that excitement that I had when I was shooting with my Canon. And I try to be as practical and pragmatic with how I think about it, and I wondered if it was sort of, maybe it's just, you know, when you first start out and you take your first few good pictures and you think you're awesome and you look back at them later and you kind of realize they weren't that great. I wonder if it was that, but I don't think it is. So I'm terrified of buying new equipment. I've talked about it in past videos. I'm also terrified that being obsessed with equipment will make me focus on the gear versus the ideas. When you're creating work, the idea or the motivation behind your work should far outweigh what camera you're shooting with. When I look at some of my favorite photographers, their ideas, their creative point of view is what makes their work beautiful. But at a certain point, if there's a technical limitation that is keeping you from executing your vision, I just want to get rid of that roadblock. So after surveying a lot of pro photographers over the past year, realizing that since I started shooting Sony, I was always the odd person out when I look around at peers that I respect their work. They're all shooting on a Canon. On top of that, a lot of them tried Sony, weren't happy, and moved back to Canon, which only confirmed what I had been feeling in my gut for years and years and years. This is all anecdotal. This is how I personally feel and how I've processed these thoughts in my head over years and years and years. I understand that gear is subjective to the context. It's sort of like arguing a Ferrari is a better car than a Jeep. But in my particular case, and for my particular needs, I have two announcements. First is I've left Sony for stills. I bought the new Canon R5 with the 24-70 RF mount lens, which is so far beautiful. So I haven't shot a real job with it yet. Maybe over the next year, as I use it and get used to it, I will not be happy and realize it's me. And I've just been blaming external forces for my own personal shortcomings and failures. That's very much a thing that I'm willing to find out if it's true or not. It'd be hugely depressing if it is. The second big change I made. The second big change I made, I sort of took the holidays, sort of overhauling my photography workflow, equipment, and approach, because I hadn't bought a new camera since 2016. A part of that overhaul of workflow was leaving Adobe for RAW conversion. Most of my commercial jobs I shoot tethered, so I have a USB cable connected to my camera that runs to a laptop so clients can see nice big versions of what I'm shooting. Capture One is the standard, and beyond that, it's sort of the standard for setting your look and exporting your RAW into a TIFF or PSD for retouching. I was a lazy RAW converter. I would end up just loading all the RAW files in through Bridge, making my selects there, applying a light look, and then when the client made their select, I would do my RAW conversion through Adobe Camera Raw. And that's sort of my failing of understanding the process, that a RAW converter is more than just a straight clinical process. So where I am now is I've left Adobe for RAW conversion, and I'm still using Photoshop for retouching. But as far as that RAW conversion, the developing of your RAW image, that's now all done in Capture One. Do you like how the sun is setting while I record this vlog? You can actually get a really good look at how I chop through time by how this light moves through the frame. I was talking about RAW conversion, how it's not just a straight, simple process. Your software is making really intricate, detailed, nuanced decisions of how to interpret the raw data from your camera sensor into colors and a viewable image. After a lot of digging and a lot of researching side by sides, and all of the links for everything that sort of confirmed my decisions, I've linked down below. Watch some of those videos because it's quite striking how different Adobe and Capture One interpret your images. Look for the link in the description. Follow me on Instagram. I hashtag all of my photos with the camera I've been shooting with, so some of them are from the archive. I don't know if it's me just taking the time to finally define a workflow that makes me feel so good and happy with what I'm seeing. That's definitely a part of it, because I know in Lightroom you can do all this organizing and really take control of your library. But I've sort of bought into Capture One. I'm really happy with the results so far, building all my own looks that I can quickly throw on my stuff. A lot of things at the end of a shoot day or while we were shooting, the digital tech would say, hey, Jesse, what look do you want me to put on this? And because I didn't use Capture One, I didn't have a defined look. So I would always sort of mess with something. But now I feel so much more in control. I'm armed with a preset to make my photos on set look really great. Take a look at all the links below that helped me feel like I solved this deep existential sadness when I looked at all my work. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it's all in my head. This is all after years of thinking about this, so don't make a spur of the moment decision. Your gear doesn't define you. Anybody can buy this junk. Let your creative work define you. Let your creative tell you the tools that you need to use. So now I gotta tell you about this week's sponsor. This week's video is sponsored by the new mirrorless charcoal camera, Mark II. Has incredible ergonomics, a modern look yet natural feel as it's made of 100% wood. It doesn't actually take pictures. You can't take pictures with it yet. I haven't figured that out, but that doesn't matter. All that matters is that you look really cool with this wooden camera that you can walk around the city with. You don't have to take pictures. It really keeps you focused on aesthetic and not actually taking a risk and taking a photo yourself. It's really handy that way.